Welcome back to 3-Point Firefighter. Today, my guests are some of my favorite people that walk this earth. That's Tai Rondau, boom, Mr. Mikey Torres. If you get a chance to meet these guys, run, don't walk. I'm telling you, they're a bastion of fire knowledge. They're great at their jobs. They inspire you. They're humble, obviously. I know Ty hates when I say nice things about him.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it.
Hey, you know what? That's how I know you guys are really good because, you just saw the if you're one of those guys that go, damn right, I'm the best firefighter there is. And, I might edit that out, right?
I don't like to talk at all.
I love you guys. I've been very fortunate to take a couple classes from Mikey. Excellent instructor. Man knows his stuff. I got to say, one of the things, if I brag on Mikey for a second, is his classes. He's come to Albany, and I've gone to Tennessee for some of your classes. And here's the thing I like. So you're from Chicago Fire, right? Mm-hmm. You do, not the TV show, although you probably could be there.
Oh, no.
But your ability to teach to anybody, it is so scalable, right? It's not like, here's how we do it in Chicago. It is exactly like, hey, here's what works. Here's something you could try. It may fit your department. You may have to change it. But everything you taught was scalable. And the way you talk to everybody, all right, baby birds, I'll feed you. Love that shit. And I said on our podcast earlier, to this day, two things that come out in New Albany. When somebody's teaching ladders, they teach your ladder trick.
Yeah.
And then if somebody asks a question, another person doesn't know, all right, baby birds, I'll feed you.
I'll feed you.
So I got to brag on you, brother. Yeah. Excellent instructor, top notch.
Thanks, man.
And then Ty, I'm going to brag on you. I know you hate it. Of course, If you listen to my podcast with Ty, I've heard of Ty before I've met him. I've seen some things. But when I saw Ty and his buddy moving that 2.5 on a lunch break during nozzle forward, I thought, okay, they don't have their capes sticking out, but they've got capes on. It really impressed me. So, top-notch firefighters. You guys are doing me the solid being here, brothers. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah.
So, y'all are embarrassed now?
Yeah, no. We like to be, we're definitely humble. Just be quiet.
I'm going to go home and change my name.
I told you got the coolest name in the fire service.
Juan Rondo. Going overseas. All right.
Don't ever even look at me.
Yeah, name's Juan Rondo.
Or Jake Rondo. That might be a better fire name.
Hey. Nice. Like
Jakey Torres -Rondo. That might be well, I'm not putting myself on your level, but I got a cool name. I'm say Jake's
we all put our pants in the same way. Come on. We're normal people. We just find a weird ability of doing things.
I think in the fire service, and maybe I'm wrong, we don't really we're quick to bash on a brother, joking wise, otherwise, but it's so hard for us to really compliment one another. And that's one of the things I learned in my old age in the fire service was, I try to go out of my way now. If I believe, I don't blow smoke, but if I really believe somebody's making a difference in the fire service like you all, I got to tell you, I just have to tell you. So you guys are what I call landscapers. You change the landscape of fire service, so good on you.
Thank you.
I don't think we changed the landscape. I think it's information we regurgitate that somebody else taught us, but we just make it applicable to everything.
Maybe we're just throwing fresh sod on.
Fresh sod.
Fresh sod.
Fresh
Dead grass,
side of it.
new sod.
And I think we have to, take some out of Tim's playbook, and it's definitely something we've always done. We're not reinventing the wheel. This is experiences that have worked for us in the past, and it may not work for you. It's an acquired taste. It's like broccoli. You may not like it, but it may or may not work for you. But this is what's worked with us in the past, has been successful, and let's see if we can apply it to you. If not, we will find another way. We will find that way to make it work for you. That it's going to work with whatever it's manpower, not the right tools. We're going to make it happen, right? But it's all based off of experience and knowledge. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is tested and true, that kind of stuff. At least for our experience, we don't just make stuff up.
No, you're both very experienced. You both are busy departments, busy houses, right? You've got the experience. You've taught a lot, which leads me to my next thing, right? So your experience, you don't blow smoke. You're not full of shit, right? You're not going to sell a brother or sister shit stuff, but you both work for Leatherhead, right? So Leatherhead Tools, in my opinion, and this is my opinion and opinion of a lot of people, it's one of the best, if not the best, fire tools going. I mean, come on, Lockwood hook, right? Come on, let's be real, right? So one of my favorite stories with Ty was, I love this story, and I hope if anybody's listened to this and didn't listen to our podcast, Ty, go back and listen to the whole thing. I think I was brilliant in it. Ty was okay. But Ty talks about how he got hooked up with Leatherhead, right? Yeah. And you work for Leatherhead, right?
He got me going with him.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he had this. This is all laid out already. And I has been working diligent with them for years at the time.
7 years now.
Yeah, so he was way into the game before we even thought about it. But he came to us, and he's like, "Listen, these guys are, I don't know what you know about Leatherhead. I know it's always, pro bar, no bar, that kind of thing.
Pro bar, no bar.
But they're letting us. They know what they hear the end user, the feedback. They're like, we don't like what's going on. Help us." But I think that, from my standpoint, my perspective is, Tai brought us off, is the ability for them to have the ability to go, look, change this. We need help.
Right.
And them being that humble to say, we need help, was like, wow, this is awesome. And Tai was already involved in this, and we just kind of tagged along with them. And the way we went, we said, hey, we got to change this, let's do that, this, that, and the other thing. And everything came together. And then, of course, Lockwood, 4 years ago, maybe I'm saying it wrong, I don't know.
I don't know, maybe three.
Okay. Call 3 years ago. No, 4. Just because, remember, he was on the Book of Face saying, hey, I remember I was telling you, I'm like, hey, dude, this guy's got some weird tool. You got to check it out. I remember texting Tai.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, look at this thing. This thing's, I don't know, man. I don't know. And ever since then, we made more relations. I think it was 3 years ago that he came out here. They sat together with Leatherhead, and that relationship started. That bond of getting it all pieced together, and now we have the end product. It's right around the corner.
I think that's great. I think it's what honestly makes Leatherhead such a good company is because they listen to firefighters, they hire firefighters, and they make the changes firefighters want. And you just don't get that. I was talking to Aaron here at the booth prior to about an hour or so ago about how when I walk around here, and I'm sure you guys are the same, if you look at a product and you have a salesman trying to pitch you that product that's not a firefighter, they got that scripted shit, that salesy kind of thing.
Yeah.
It turns me off right away.
Nice.
But so I went by the Leatherhead booth to say hi, but I didn't get a chance to say hi to you guys because you were so busy.
I gave you a good. I shook your hand.
Hey, much love. And Tai totally just fuck
blew it
off.
off.
Yeah, like, screw that guy.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no,
He's
no.
the big ears. But I went to buy.
He
Let's see if I can
highbrowed
show
him.
it. Look at that.
Hold back here.
Yeah, look at this shit. So I went over there. I wanted to get a shirt, and
It's a nice shirt.
it's a great shirt. And the thing about what I like about this shirt is it's nice and soft. Oh,
So
it's
soft. So soft on the skin.
It doesn't chafe my nipples.
Yeah.
But also, everybody should go to their website. And by the way, I'm not paid by Leatherhead. Leatherhead did not ask me to do this. I truly believe in Leatherhead stuff, and I love you guys. So I wanted to do this. But I wanted to brag on that shirt because it's nice. Because I've come around some of the other booths, and they got the shit shirts with their logos. You'll wear them maybe to work out stuff. But this stuff, I think it's going to make me look super strong.
I think it's right. It's like so.
Does make
my-
you look
my
kind of
opinion-
good.
Another one right there.
In my opinion, I think it's everything. It says everything from what you bring here to the show, your stickers, your shirts, whatever. It says, speaks about your company. Like, do you care? You've actually putting quality shirts out there, quality stickers that guys are going to care about, or you hand out tchotchke shit that it's just gimmicky just to bring in. It's if we're going to have quality, if we're going to spend time on, we're not even a t-shirt company, right? We're going to put time on a nice design and a shirt. We're going to put that into the tools.
It's like the firehouse.
Yeah.
The little things that count.
Yes.
The clean shitters real good. I like the clean shitters.
Yes.
Nice, clean, spotless. They look really good. I could take a nice shit out. I like it. It's good. Now take that professionalism, that attention to detail, that small, minute thing. Nothing, not a big deal. Doesn't make you the best fireman in the world. But you take that small thing, it's directions. You clean it at this time. Blah 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 blah. Now you take it to the fire. On the fire ground. Now you're taking those attention to details, saying, all right, yeah, I'm meticulous. I'm systematically doing everything I need to do. And that just makes, the way I think, just a better fireman. I know it sounds dumb, but those little things make a difference.
Oh, I
Every
totally
little
agree.
thing. And that, like Tai was saying, that the small little things represent who you are. Just your professionalism and how you stand. It's a big deal to me.
When I was at Lexington, I was I can't remember what station I was in, but the bay doors were pretty much all glass at the time. But anyway, we had to clean. Yeah, I know, right? So we had to clean windows one day, and I was new. I was still in my first year, my sub year, and I was cleaning windows with them. I wasn't enthused about it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of half-assing cleaning, but I'm getting hit every window, but I'm half-assing it. And my senior man stopped me and said, "Look, man," he goes, "if you're going to do anything in this job, take the time to do it."
Yeah.
And that stuck with me, and that's developed into what I try to teach new recruits and people like that is, I can't expect you to do the big things on the fire ground if you can't do the little things outside of the fire ground. You know, they're connected to your point. You know,
That's just what I truly believe.
yeah, especially for a new person. Your first year makes or breaks you. It absolutely
makes a
does.
big difference. Yeah, definitely makes a big difference.
I've been a new guy 3 times, and it started 28 years ago. I know you're looking at me going, can't be. You look 17 years old.
You do look young.
I take vitamin B, you know, and I drink light beer. I think that makes a difference.
Yeah. Zimas.
You can't.
The Zimas with Jolly Ranchers.
Jolly Ranchers.
Oh, yeah.
You can never fix or hem 2 things. Trust can't. Once you ruin it, it's gone.
Yep.
I mean, it's very hard to rebuild. And your reputation sticks with you forever. You can look weird, do things weird, but if your reputation is just solid and it just stays with you forever, and that's who you are, and that's what people remember you as, man, it's worth its weight in gold. It just goes forever. Through test of time.
I think it's the hardest thing to build, the easiest thing to lose is your reputation.
God, yes.
And so much of it's just shutting up, really. If you train and shut up, you get a good reputation. Clean shitters right and do the little things.
Like I said, it is the little things that count. It's not, like I said, it's, again, it all seems up. You've seen it. I sees it. It all has an end user type of deal like us. It all comes together and it all makes sense at the end. A lot of people don't ever get to the end of the story.
Right.
You know, eventually we make it way there. Eventually make it way there.
Absolutely. I'll tell you this. I'm not really bragging on you. I'm kind of telling you guys something. So you remember when y'all did my podcast? At the end of it, we kind of talk after, like when I stop recording, kind of shoot the shit.
Yes.
I do that for everybody, and sometimes those go on forever. But, you know, because I think and the other people feel a little more comfortable just kind of chit chatting. You know, they don't want everything on the air, or you know, they're just more comfortable letting their guard down. So I've had your 2 names brought up quite a few times by other people going, yeah, I swear to God, this happened. And, great guy. Love that guy. Great guy. Mikey Torres comes up. Tai Rondau. Oh, great guy. You talk to them? Oh, they're great guys. So you guys, I guess, got a good reputation, so don't fuck it up. Of course, you're not doing much for your reputation being on my show. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
But luckily, I got like 4 subscribers, so I think we're okay.
I'm just allowing the target to get bigger. Oh, God.
Yeah. Every time I give you a compliment, you just get in the street.
Oh, it's
Mikey
terrible.
said, like,
Terrible.
I think take a back seat from all that stuff. But, you know, I think Ty always says the word establish. I think we established ourselves pretty well. That's a good reputation. Not because I want you to take this class or see my way. That's not it. I think I want you. There are other things out there. It's good information. Be a student of the game, and I have to admit, I still screw up. I'm still bad at things. I mess up on a daily basis. I am not by any means perfect. I learn a lot from my really bad mistakes, and that's all the time. I'm not a model citizen or a model fireman. I really am not. But I do have to admit everything that I do wrong. There is something I do. Yeah, that goes from the fire service to just life in general. So I think definitely, I do find people like, I took a class from you, and whenever I'm like, when and where? I go, man, that was a long time ago. I go, look, man, I don't know, but I changed. Things are different. Styles I've gained more information. More things have happened, so my experience base has gotten this much larger. So I got to see, I worked more things out. So, and especially with Ty, and now moving to this Leatherhead thing and doing stuff like that, having a voice, oh my God, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal for me. It makes sense.
Just as much as like I think we go around and I teach class, or I might help with class here and there, and you meet people from all over the place. Like sitting in these booths down here and meeting people from all over. Like we've had a guy from Australia, Germany, all over the place. I had a guy like, I'll be honest, I think we're working on right now that LA trash. Like, we're trying to get that better than what it is right now.
How's that different from the Boston Rake? Yeah.
So the Lock Dog and the Boston Rake are a little more similar in a way there. The LA trash hook is like, I think they call it a rubbish hook to Leatherhead or whatever, but
it's not on your website yet, right?
No, I mean they're both up there. They're both up there. It's like they got a 6-inch tines and a 6-inch crossbar. It's out there.
That's
right?
Ty's baby. He's gonna.
We're gonna try to fix that.
It's gonna be brought back to life.
But like one guy, what I'm getting at is like, one guy came to the booth and was like, you know what? I like this thing. And to me, I'm like, it's okay. We're gonna make it better.
Right.
But
honesty,
then,
bro.
Yeah, I'm honest. But he's like, dude, I actually love it because I can reach and grab a 4x4 when I'm cribbing. I have to push it in there and get a big block in there because when you push it with a hook at a point like in a New York hook or even like a Lockwood or something like that, have a real flat surface to push it in. Like I use the tines, right? The 6-inch spread to push it 4x4 to where it needs to go and start building it. I'm like, I've never thought about that in my life or heard it. I'm like, I don't have that tool in my rig, but I'm like, so again, I'm learning stuff from people that are just regular Joe Schmo's rocker here. They're all rock stars. Yeah, and just bringing little tidbits to the table for us, and I'm just eating them up at the booth, meeting people. It's pretty cool. Like, so it's really cool to be somewhere like this, especially with like a tool company or even any company, I suppose. I hope these people would say that, but you're picking up little things that you wouldn't know or that you've never heard of,
right?
To bring back home and to make it better. Again, like I don't have that hook on my rig on our engine back home, or on the med unit back home, but if like that's the case, I mean, if I saw them, like, hey, I could use that tool to push some cribbing way underneath this semi truck or some shit if I had to.
So let's talk about their tools. Hell, it's in their damn names. The Lockwood hook. Right? Let's talk about the Lockwood hook. It looks badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Man, I'm so impressed with John Lockwood and his hook, the Lockwood hook, right? And what would have happened if Mike didn't kind of chase me down like, Tai, he's like, you need to do this thing. And I'm like, no, check it out, right? Like, I don't really own this company. I just help out and facilitate stuff and make people meet. So John and Rick met, just brought the hook, and it was cool. It was crisp, clean lines, well thought out, well designed. So that's what it keeps in the booth the same. But it gives you kind of a combination of like a New York hook and a Boston ring per se, right? So it gives you that throat in the middle of the Halligan bar, which fits it nice.
Yes.
Yep. So some guys have put like a chain link on there to marry it so it hit the forks. You don't need it with this hook. It gives you like a 3-inch spread on the top, so when you're sounding for like structural members, if you use it on a flat roof, or if you even just kind of find your way through some stuff and it's kind of a weird floor and you want to feel it out, you're actually getting a good hit and it's resonating into the shaft of the tool to find that structural member versus like on a New York hook, you have a pin, a point that comes back, right? So there's things like that and stuff I never knew about until meeting John. Like, never thought about that like that. And then even him putting the dovetail on one of the pry ends, so it stabilizes it. So as the dovetail comes down this way, and as you pull back, it stabilizes the hook from going side to side and helps you get a nice, crisp, clean purchase point to pull and make progress. Again, stuff I never thought about, but it's just doing these years and years of ingenuity in this thing. Like, it makes sense. Like, to the point where, and like, this is like, to me, this just blows my mind, where we found out, like, Boston Fire, who's always been the Boston ring traditionally, has purchased a ton of these hooks, and there's guys that are buying their own there. I'm like,
oh, really?
Holy shit. I'm like, my God.
That's a big deal.
It's like, it blows my mind. So that's pretty cool that John, a guy from Florida, can release a hook, and it can travel all the way up to that way, this way, whatever, and it's making a difference. There's been tons of guys in the booth that come and like, I love this tool, this is the shit, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, it's awesome to hear. You know, it's not for everyone. Like some people don't like a New York hook. Some people like mine, but like, it's a great tool. Yeah, it's a great tool. Right? It's that kind of hook.
John's thing. He never meant to take away from it.
Case in point, here's another thing. So, I give a plug here. So Ashley Shapiro, Capital City Fire Helmets. He's done like 12 helmets for me now. And he came out of his way to meet me, and he made my day yesterday because he's like, Tai, remember, you're like one of the first customers, and I spray painted your helmet in my girlfriend's basement. I'm like, what? Right? I'm like, it's cool. So then he just came back before we walked over here, and he's telling me about the Hartford hook, because he's on Hartford, Connecticut Fire.
Right.
And I'm like, I saw something, I saw it was on a t-shirt, but like then they showed a video of it. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, it's like, we have a lot of lath and plaster device. So he's like, so it punches through, a very thin profile, quarter turn, and a huge chunk of lath comes out. He showed me the video. I'm like, wow. But again, guys are making tools that work for their area needs, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's been part of Hartford, like he said, it's been part of Hartford's department culture for years. So it's tradition, right? But to be able to expose that, I'm sure everyone else has lath and plaster in their area. Could they utilize a tool like this? Sure. So
that's what I thought about the Lockwood tool when I first saw it, because we get a lot of plaster lath in our area. I thought, man, that looks like it would be great for that.
We have a lot of that. So you do too.
John was saying the throat where the Halligan bar marries up is nice enough where it's the right size to be able to get a good bite where you don't have to hold on too hard to get that angle, and it pulls. So
that's wonderful.
It's almost magical. It's cool.
It's almost magical.
It's magical. But
it's majestic.
For sure.
It's good, man. So it's cool to see how things come along in these tools. And like you said, it's keeping it basic for the most part. It's nothing super crazy.
Right.
You guys are tweaking it for their needs, and come to find out, yeah, his needs are the same as his or her needs over here. Let's try this out.
Here's what I'm learning. Unfortunately, as I get much, much older, again, I'm an old man. So the Halligan bar invented in FDNY, right? But they didn't, when Hugh Halligan decided to make them, right, kind of like a Lockwood thing. FDNY didn't buy it right off the bat. Boston did. Right. So I'm learning, and I still love FDNY. You know, when I got in the fire service, I read everything FDNY. I just left there. I was at the Rock. It was awesome.
Oh, man.
But I happen to have made friends with a couple guys in Boston, and I'm starting to realize Boston is very progressive and stuff like that. Talk about the Lockwood hook, right? You know, they get Boston, right? But you're like, hey, let's get the Lockwood hook. But speaking of, let me go back. I talked about Halligan's. So Halligan's are pretty sacred in the fire service.
Yeah.
Mike, have you ever used a Halligan?
Never seen one.
Never seen one. You got to look at them, dude. You'll love
I guess that's a back scratcher. Back scratcher.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: you use a lot of Halligans. I know both of you do. But let me ask you this: out of all the Halligans, why is it that Leatherhead I think is the best one? How would you tell somebody to buy a Leatherhead over the other ones?
Again, all of them are good, right? I don't think like.
Come on, not all. Well, you're my friends. Not all of them are good.
Here's I'm going to answer this, Mike. I'm going to answer this. So this is here's my non-political, non-bullshit answer. I'm going to be straight with you.
Okay.
They're both rock solid tools.
Okay.
And I have both. I have both at home, and they're awesome, right? I think there's been a change in crowbars throughout the years. You guys are mentioning that to us as well, and there's been change in Leatherhead bars throughout the years as well. So,
absolutely.
The reason I personally like a Leatherhead bar, and I think it runs up there with the group of the brands, is the fact that the time and material. One, the fact that I really respect the fact that it's all USA steel, nothing comes from overseas.
That's
right?
a big deal.
Yes, that is.
It's supporting our
That's a big
economy.
deal.
Agreed.
That's huge, and Rick will never change it. VP and those guys will never buy it from overseas because that's close to the heart. But that bar is a little bit heavier, but it gives a little more oomph when you're swinging and taking it like a sash on a window, things like that, right? The forks.
Let's be honest, it's a pound.
It's power.
It's a pound.
Go to the gym.
Do you think I could?
I think you got it.
You think I got it? Because when I just did that, I think I pulled something and it hurt.
Yeah.
So I'll be icing that down.
I'm 11-10. I'll take care of it.
Well, I'm kind of worried about what that means, and I'm excited too.
It is exciting. I think about it.
It's Friday.
But
yeah, that's right.
You were saying?
But yeah, so even like the forks, we got them to change it. They're tuned. They're shaved down. Like when I have my pro bar and someone's teaching me how to tune the bars because out of the box there's things that you want to tweak on it. So now let's just make it factory tuned and shaved down, right? Let's square the shoulders. Let's put a notch by the crotch of the fork so you have that depth so you can ballpark where you're going to drive the forks.
Right.
Let's make some thin forks, right? And they're going to be sharp enough so if maybe the door force doesn't go as well as you want, and you actually have to drive into the wood, split some wood, or split the jam, whatever it might be. You can do that. On the same side, the only issue that people come up with a Leatherhead bar is it's a drop porch steel bar, but it's not a true single piece because the pike gets welded into by the knuckle by the adze.
Right.
And so that's something I talked to Rick, and I'm actually going to write up an article so we can get it out to people so they understand what it's not just like weld. There's more that goes into it after the weld occurs, right? So you got to clean the metal. It goes in. And, well, first off, let me back up. It's $400,000 is what they told me.
For one bar?
No, to change the forge to get rid of that. Yeah, one bar. Good God.
That's got to be a good goddamn bar.
Plate of gold and shit, man. Oh, that's signed by Randy Jackson. Anyways. But so like that, so the pipe gets welded in there, and I'm like, at first I'm like, this is stupid. Like we should be single piece drop for a steel bar. But then the point that I'm going to make in this article, that I'm going to try to help out, right? I'm going to reach out to subject matter experts that are welders. Like welds are very strong. No, I don't really weld. That's not my forte. But they said welds can be very, very good. They're even stronger sometimes than just your regular metal fabrication. But squirrel. JC squirrel.
We're talking about tuning the fork?
Yeah, so, okay, Leatherhead, I'm sorry, with the hooks, right? So your hook has a chisel end and the hook head welded onto the shaft. Do people bitch about that?
Yeah.
No, they don't, right? But it's welded. So it's the same thing. People beat the piss out of these hooks. We're going to beat the piss out of this Halligan bar. It's welded. Who cares? As long as it's done right. So now they bang test and they drop test each Halligan bar. Yep, and to make sure that it's not going to fail there at the moment. I mean, things happen. Like, car manufacturers have issues all the time. Every tool manufacturer has an issue here and there.
A lot of it's user error.
Yep.
Like how you use these tools.
Right.
So
but even at that, what's the customer service for something like that? Say I buy a tool.
They're going to replace it, no questions asked for the most part. Like, it's going to be, they're going to be like, hey, maybe you don't need to put like 6 pieces of wood in this door prop to prove a point. Like, it's unrealistic. You probably should use the Hydra Ram or something different.
Yeah.
But we're going to replace it. Appreciate you using the tools, and that's part of the backside of Leatherhead is they're going to stand behind their tools. Just, hey, maybe not treat them like an idiot.
Right.
So we could use a hydran for that much force if you need it. Stuff like that. So, and that's what I'm kind of going to add in there, too, about the tools and all that. It's just making sure you're using the tools right application, or you're realizing that tools and things have limitations.
Right.
So,
Which is neat about Leatherhead, too, because you guys go around teaching. You don't go for teaching Leatherhead, but, I mean, you go around teaching so you know when you see stuff like that, you guys can say, hey, babe, like to your point, don't use 6 pieces of wood. Hey, here's an idea, I think that's pretty awesome. I don't want to keep you from your booth any longer than I have to. Okay,
good.
We're good.
yeah, you got a couple more minutes, sure.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let me ask you this. I noticed you brought SCBA mask up with you. Can I just ask what that's all about? Or cover, I mean. Oh, that is beautiful.
So, Chris
Beautiful.
Warren out of Lexington.
Uh-huh.
Chris, good friend of ours, and he's always good to us. And he came across, he always makes stuff out of Connex. I like his gun stuff, his radio stuff. He's the Connex guy. He likes that stuff. And I always wanted to get something to protect my face piece, and I'm like, I don't know. We have mask bags in the city, and that's cute. I always want to go above and beyond and be a total nerd.
Great.
That's fine.
Nice.
I like being a nerd. Leave me alone. Don't hate me because I love what I do.
I love
I
that
do like.
place.
He had this, and he's like, oh, that's a genius. I like it. It covers up. It acts as two functions. It protects the face piece, right?
Right.
Your face piece, and also you can use it for training. You can. You can customize. You can do all kinds of stuff. I put our house patch on it just so I can show him what I want. But it comes in all kinds of variations and stuff. I just like it because I don't want to feel awful. There's no straps, no clips, no nothing. This thing just pops off and you're ready to rock.
Right.
And if I lose it, I'm only out on $30.
That's not
I
bad.
think
Can I
it's
see
just-
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's made out of actually Kydex, not Connex.
Am I seeing?
Yeah, you're
I'm
saying
sorry.
like these Connex cans.
No, I
but-
think it is Connex.
Is it Connex?
No, it's not, but I just wanted to sound like
Just
smart. It's
okay,
definitely
yeah, I
Connex.
mean,
Because this is what they make this stuff for my gun.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what he used to
But
make
I say
gun
it's
holsters
the
and
gun
things like that. But I mean, so he legit put it on the ground and stepped on it, and it got back to its shape and form. I'm like, oh, be damn. And then so you use it for train protect it. It's one less thing to worry about losing, and it's cheap. So
It's really nice.
Yeah, it's really
legit.
nice.
The first time I put my hands on it, I was impressed. So he's got the Scott stuff he's saying. And
He's got all our
doing-
MSAs. He's taking care
he's
of
doing
us.
MSA
You
stuff.
can do any of them. Whatever you want, I'll take care
But
of.
he's here down and walking around. He's actually just handing out free samples because it's
Yeah.
Really?
yeah. I mean, it's legit. Like I can't
Yeah,
wait
this-
to get one.
I like
mass
this.
bags going away.
Yeah, I like
Again.
that.
Yeah, isn't it? It's
That's
legit.
pretty cool.
You know what?
I like
I might get one with Mike Torres' face on the outside.
Oh,
Just so
man.
Mike goes to all the fires and
You know
EMS
what?
runs that I go to.
I guarantee you they could sell
That'd
tons
be
of
a
those.
huge
Hey,
honor.
Mike, we're going another ass bleed. You coming with, bud?
That's a huge honor, man. That's a huge honor.
Yeah.
I think and especially Ty and stuff like this, I think I know I don't. I feel awkward doing it, especially when I bring something or anything like I bring with or we talk about. There are so many great products out there. I think it's only because it's stuff that we use. We don't back stuff that we don't use, don't have experience with. If it's not for us, it's not that your product's it's bad or we don't like it. It's just it's not for us, right? It's so I don't use. There are so many good things out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many products that are out there. So many tools, a long list of stuff that's out there. It might be for you. I'm not saying our stuff's for you either, but I'm only going to tell you what I like, what I use. For wrapping tools, stuff like that. It makes a difference, and I'm only, Ty, same way. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't believe in what these things can do, or we don't
man.
use it.
I'm not,
They're not in our hand. We ain't use
I'm
it.
not riding the Titanic. I'm not going down like that.
Now,
Yeah.
speaking of which, you did bring it. I think it's called a First Wife Attitude Adjuster. Is that what that is? Or cat relaxer?
Mike's get right stick.
It's my get right stick or my forget me stick.
Get right stick.
Oh, yeah, Mike's been walking around the show with this thing. I don't know why. Maybe it's like a cane. Maybe Leatherhead Tools could have a cane for Mike.
Oh, it's your pit cane.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I got
horrible.
my PhD, player haters degree. Anyway,
It's our awesome handle.
yeah.
I love it.
So the last thing that we're kind of showing is all the Ultra Force Axe that we have with our Halogen bar.
I love those force axe.
This is the Ultra Force Axe handle,
8
and what
pounds.
it is it's cut out on one side. One side's smooth, so if you do chop with that, you can still slide. But on the other side, it actually kind of locks in. We brought in Scott Sullivan. He does a lot of wood handles and stuff like that. These are octagonal handles, and he goes, look at this, look at the cut out of your hand. It's not smooth, it's not round, it's cut out, and then it just fits. It kind of locks in that. So with a wet glove, it doesn't rotate as much when you're chopping, hitting, if you're forcing, and that's what we kind of took, right? So the kicker is you might, because of the design, it's kind of thin down here, so you might end up shaving it if you want a fatter feel in there or a flatter spot. I mean, it just comes to a point because when they designed it, whoever did it at the shop, allowed you to slide in the bridge here on this side. Me, I end up shaving mine down a little bit, just so it's a little flatter, so when I'm hitting over time, it's not kind of hurting the hand or bashing in.
Oh yeah.
I like it the way it is.
Some people wrap it in tape anyways, or put like whatever it might be. Or
I'm not trying to start a fight with you two.
No.
I feel like you're fighting. That's definitely fine.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, like you said, wrap it. I'm a big
absolutely.
I'm a big component of the fire wraps. That's my go-to wrap.
The fire wrap.
Sorry,
for sure.
you can pick whatever you want. I'm going to tell you hands down, fire wrap.
Somebody asked us if we're going to make fire wraps, and we're like, "No, man. Like
that's our boy. No.
That's Mitch's gig. That's
Mitch's
his. He can have it.
Yeah.
We'll support him."
Yeah. That's nice. I love the Ultra Force we were talking about. So you can use that too if Mike's asleep and he's snoring. You can just kind of slightly.
Oh yeah, no, he wears a CPAP.
I got that machine.
He's fighting MIGs at night.
Oh, they're awesome.
We actually might do a reenactment of Top Gun because
Dave's got one.
The Dave's got one and Mike's got one. And I pair them up tonight in the same hotel room, so they'll give you like Goose and Maverick, and I'll put a canopy over.
Yes, it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
But, like I said, that's a game changer. We didn't bring the actual axe out for the Force axe.
Right.
Phenomenal. Does have added features with that Halligan bar. Works with any of the leather head lock.
Right.
So it gives you that 61 mechanical advantage instead of using your New York hook or whatever hook you choose to, preferably a steel one at some point, to use that mechanical for outward swinging doors. This, a lot of guys don't take hooks to the rear. It's always a force entry irons and a saw. Maybe I'm not ready to hide your ramp up. I'm going to use what I have. I stumbled upon it. I kind of just one day it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Let me see if it works.
Every squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, I found that nut that day. Me and Dave found that nut.
Little nut.
It was a weird nut. It was very small, not big. But it worked. It worked. It was awesome. And again, I had to use it in the field. Like you could talk about shit all day. It's all theory. It's all hypothetical. It's all it looks really cool for show, But have you ever used it? Yeah, it works. It works. It's. Are things bound to fail? Sure. But that shit works. Right. So, like I said, things we do, it's all based on experience-based. We touch it. We like it. It's not just not for us. It's not bad. It's not for us.
Facts over feelings. I want facts.
I
want facts that this is legit.
Absolutely, 100%.
So I'll wrap it up here so you can get back to work, and I appreciate your time. I can't say that enough. But I do want to ask Ty, you're looking a little tired. So I assume you did something maybe before FDIC?
Yeah. Are we talking riding scooters? No.
Drunk scootering?
Drunk scootering? No, I did that. But, FDTN. I got fortunate to come back down to Jim McCormick's place right before this. Jim always historically has ran since, I think, since 2015 was the first round of live fire camp that he did in the spring that we went down there. And so I helped out there at Orders Station, Tim Clutt Station at Orders again. And we did, I think there was like 106 students. And again, between all 6 stations, I believe it's 72 fires are done in 3 days. So, yeah.
So you're a little chocolate.
I singed some nose hairs and everything else. I'm peeling some skin, but it's awesome. I'll tell you what, if I could do nothing else but go to FGTN, get amped up again, surround myself and be starstruck with all these phenomenal instructors,
right?
Who zero have egos. Like you got, again, Mike Lombardo and Bob Pressler are down there working just as hard as anybody else, moving pallets, stuffing straw, helping reset dummies, hand out waters to the guys, right? Like that just empowers me to keep going and doing what those guys do. Those are role models for me.
Right.
And then you see them down there, and I get a chance to hang out with them, and I get to bring like Wisconsin beer to these people. Like I'm like a beer runner. I'm not saying with brands so I don't get in trouble. But then I bring out beers, and we all hang out and I do the cookout, and it just gets me fired up. And then I come here and hang out with more of my buddies. I get to see guys like you and Mike and everyone else, and just talk shop, and then get to connect and then see all the shiny shit because I got ADD, so all the shiny shit's cool.
It's like a Star Wars convention for us.
Yeah,
man. This is the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah,
it's Chewy.
Yeah. You gotta.
Here's my lightsaber.
You gotta admit that place is the playland of all playlands.
It is.
You couldn't to get it the most realistic, as close as possible to what you need to do. Besides, like stress-induced training type of deal. That is the place to go. The heat, the training, the instructors alone.
Yeah.
You said 2 huge names. I don't know where else to go. I really will. That's my opinion.
That's another thing everybody talks about is FDTN. I mean, all around the country, wherever I go, they're like, "Oh, you must go all the time. It's right in your backyard." Unfortunately, no. But I wish I would take more advantage of it. I know my department. We have a new deputy chief. Chief Kron. He's going to be on here in a little bit. Actually, he's very, well. He's not as sexy, but
He's still looking good.
He's still looking good.
He gets better in age.
Oh, for an 89-year-old man, I think he's handsome.
You know what? I have a theory.
You're not 80.
Jake, I have a theory. He's an FDIC 8. Back home, you're 4 at home, but here everyone's instantly 4 points hotter. Right? An FDIC 8.
That is good.
You're instantly 4 points hotter down here.
Wow.
Why? Because there's a bajillion dudes, only very few ladies.
Sausage fest here.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to end with this, just to put my money where my mouth is, sort of. Talk about Deputy Chief Kron. He's so impressed with Leatherhead Tools that we're specking out some engines. We're trying to get all Leatherhead Tools there. I can't say enough about them. Again, not sponsored, wasn't asked to do this. I just believe in the tools, and I think if I can help get the word out, that's what I'm going to do. Brothers, I appreciate your time. Hey, everybody listening, go to leatherheadtools.com. Check out not just the great tools, but also the cool products. It's a great jump-off point if you want to learn a lot about fire shit. It's a great place to start. Ty, Mike, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to you, and thanks to Fire Facilities for having us.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I should probably
Appreciate
mention
that.
them.
Yeah. Those guys. Hold on, wait. We're going to mention
Oh, ta-da!
those guys.
Thanks again, brother.
Thanks,
Rob,
guys.
take care.
Welcome back to 3-Point Firefighter. I'm slightly out of frame. This is one of my mini episodes from FDIC. So, no, we're good. Thank you, brother. So today's a big one for me. I've been waiting for this one. When I got the call to do these podcasts, I could not wait to redo this, do a redo a little bit with the man himself, Jarod Sergi. Jarod, thanks for being back on,
Absolutely.
brother.
You're welcome, man. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for reaching out to me.
So, hey, no, you're doing me a huge favor. So, for those who don't know, which they should know, if they're watching this, they probably watched the first one. You were my very first podcast interview.
Mm-hmm.
So, you wrote a book that absolutely inspired me, No Nonsense Leadership, right? Geared for the company officer.
Right.
I wasn't even a company officer at the time. I'm a battalion chief of training. Your book, although it's focused on that, really, in a lot of ways, changed my life. So, I take a book to the beach every year, and I read it on the beach, drink a couple beers, so sometimes it gets blurry, I'm not going to lie.
Right.
And I was sitting there reading your book, and every time I would read a few pages, and I would close it, and I would just sit back and think. And my wife started noticing me doing this, and she's kind of like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Man, this is a good book. This is a really, really good book, and I don't want to blow past anything. I want to process what you say." And that just kept going and kept going. And I remember thinking that I was reading your book, and I thought, dude, this guy really put himself out there. He took things that are very personal and his thoughts on leadership and telling company officers good ideas. But, when you put yourself out there, there's always the fear of backlash from your guys, fear of backlash from outside of your department. I mean, you're exposed.
Absolutely. Totally.
I saw that, and I felt like, I don't know, something about that planted a seed in my brain. And I said, you know what? I want to be part of the national conversation. I think I got some things to say, and I want to talk to people that definitely have things to say. So I told my wife after we got home, I just couldn't get your book out of my mind. Not only is it just fantastic, No Nonsense Leadership, and get it on Amazon, right? It put the seed for a 3-Point Firefighter in my head, right? So who had to be my first guest? Jarod. So I was nervous contacting you and everything, and I remember texting you, or I think it was through Messenger, and I asked you, and I've never done this before. And you're like, yeah, sure, let's do this. It was awesome, dude. And it inspired me to keep on trucking with this. So I go back and I watch that first episode. Oh, I cringe, dude. I cringe, brother. I'm like, oh, what? Man, you sound like an idiot. But you were great. I was just, like I said, I was kind of fanboying, and I was trying to focus more on the product. Anyway, enough about me, brother. Tell us about the book. How did you come to this, that you needed to get this book, get this information out?
So it kind of started in pieces. I would write things here and there, like I'd write some articles for fire engineering, and then I'd post things on a social media platform. And Josh, you've talked to me before, my buddy Josh, was like,
Chase,
he's like, look, man, like you have something here. You should just kind of compile it all into something, like because I was putting a lot just on my personal social media pages, and he said, man, put it in one spot and just kind of get it all in one area where everybody can read it. And so I had the articles, I had the social media posts, and so I had all these things together, and I said, why don't I just put it in one spot? Maybe I'll just put it in a book. And so I had the idea, and I'm like, well, that's dumb. I'm not an author. Like I don't write books, you know? And so I had all these articles, these thoughts, and I just started putting them on paper. And I said, well, I'll try it. I'll start writing a book. So I just started writing it, and I'd be hard at it for like 2 months, and then I'd stop. You know, I'm like, this is stupid. Like I don't want to write this. Like who am I to write a book? Like I haven't. You know, what have I done? What makes me so special? Why should people listen to me?
Right.
And then I would just kind of go back and forth, and I finally decided to stick to the grind and put it out, and with the hopes that, you know, someone would read it and hopefully learn from some of the things that I've either screwed up on or things that have made me successful. And that's why I decided to put it out there. But it was, like we're talking about, it was a risk, you know, because once it's out, man, it's
out.
Back. Yes. There ain't no bringing it back. There ain't. It's like, hey, well, you wrote this, so you know, you're acting this way. This is what you put in that book.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's like, yeah, you're right, you know. So I was uneasy. I can remember sitting in my house with my wife, like with the mouse over like the final like submit button where this thing is out there. And I'm like, babe, I don't know. Like, if I hit this, there ain't no bringing it back. And she's like, just do it. You know, I hit it, and it's out there. You're right. But that's kind of how it came to fruition. It was just a series of like little articles that I was writing, and I just kind of compiled all my thoughts into one book and kicked it out there to hopefully help people, make them hopefully better company officers, better firefighters. You know.
I think it's a fantastic book, and everybody that's seen my book in my office, I've showed you the tabs and the highlights, because it really, I guess the last time I was affected by a book like that was, you know, some Bruncini stuff. I remember, you know, it's one of those read, digest, but and there's a lot of good authors out there. I'm not saying there's not. Man, your book is so scalable. I know it's pointed at the company officer, man, but you could really spread it out throughout the entire fire service, from, you know, the highest rank to the lowest rank. There's great leadership nuggets in there. What's funny though, you said when you're hovering over that submit button.
Oh yeah, that's for real. I was sitting there.
I did the same thing. I told my wife, I said, I did the podcast with you, and I kept telling myself, I'm like, okay, so I'll do it, but I probably won't put it out.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I had the submit button. I had my, you know, my podcast account, and I literally had to hit submit. I went upstairs. I was in the basement. Went upstairs. I told my wife, I said, if I hit this button, it's never going to come back.
That's right.
It's out there forever. She goes, do you believe in what you're doing? I said, yes, but I sound like an idiot. And and she's like, you don't sound like an idiot. I said, listen to it. I sound like an idiot. She goes, okay, maybe you sound like an idiot. But good. She goes, you know, if you believe in it, do it. So I did. And then I ran upstairs, and she'll tell the story. It's like a little kid. I hit the button and ran upstairs. I was like, I did it. And she's like, okay, yeah, it's good. You're good. And it was the best thing I ever did, because it kicked off where I'm at now, where I get to meet great industry leaders like you, get to have conversations. You know, people come and pay for your classes. I get to talk to you for free.
That's right.
Deal.
That's right.
Fantastic book. I cannot say enough about it. Nobody will be disappointed if they buy this book. And if you think, well, I'm a battalion chief or just a firefighter, it's not geared for me, you're 100% wrong. It's a book for every firefighter, every rank, every part of their career. Fantastic. I keep saying that.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
So what I didn't realize when I first interviewed you, I knew you did a few classes, you know, but you go around teaching a lot of great leadership stuff. Can you tell me, like, you're here today teaching?
I did, yeah. I finished up a class today, so I did an hour, 45-minute session. So I get around, I teach leadership, and that's obviously one of my big passions, and probably because I had good people that kind of raised me in the fire department. You know, I had good bosses, I had good chiefs. I'm just really lucky in that sense. And so that's kind of where I found my niche. And of course, the military helped me with that as well. I had good people around me in the military. But on top of that, I'm an engine maniac. So
nice.
Get around and do some engine classes, teach real fire training, which we do engine and ladder company operations, but I like to tilt towards the engine stuff. I'm a huge fire protection systems nerd,
right.
Which would normally, like, people aren't interested in that stuff, like sprinkler systems, standpipes, smoke management systems. Like, people are like, I'm not taking that crap. I'm not going to. Don't ask me why. I like it. I'm a nerd for it. I like learning about it. I like how they operate. It's just, don't ask me to explain it. So I like to get out there and teach people about those, because, you know, a lot of firefighters like me at one point were just super unfamiliar with those things, and
they're complicated.
They are.
Right?
They can be very complicated. Yeah.
Right. So you probably take it down and make it a little more. excuse me, a little more digestible for us.
I try to, yeah. And basically, like, there's a lot of stuff that you don't really need to get down in the weeds in, but it's like, how does this operate? How does this affect my water supply? How do I need to operate these in these buildings? How do I troubleshoot these alarm panels? How do I operate these systems that we need to take advantage of in a building, a mid-rise or a high-rise, where we go to a structure fire, we have our own pumps, we have our own ventilation fans, we have our own line stretched from the rig, so we don't have all that when we go into a mid-rise or a high-rise. Now we got to rely on all these systems that we might be unfamiliar with, and if we don't manage them correctly, it could really go wrong for the incident and for the people that are in that building. Yep. So that's what I get around and do, but primarily leadership, engine stuff, and high-rise fire protection systems. Yep.
I got to tell you, my minor is in that stuff. Mm-hmm. If I was to design any kind of sprinkler system, people would die. It was one of the it is the hardest class. It was the last class I took to get my degree, and it was sprinkler design.
Yeah.
And it was an NFPA 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my final was, basically design the whole time you're designing, and it was. You
realize how much goes into it? It's crazy.
You have no idea and then how many different variables are in there, right? And so you're like, oh, it's just this. It's so easy. No, it's not.
Yeah, just pipe some stuff in there, put some water in it.
Yeah. I literally, if I didn't get a C in this class, I didn't pass. I had to retake it, and I couldn't walk that May. I couldn't graduate in May.
Yeah.
So I took it. I immediately called my instructor and said, please check this. Please. I said, I won't sleep this weekend. It was on a Friday.
Uh-huh.
And so he goes, I forget what I got. It was higher than a C, hopefully. But I did pass. And I was like, it was like the weight of it. So kudos to you, because that stuff is so complicated.
It is. It's funny because I can remember how it all kind of started for me. I remember going on a call, and I was in a pump room. My captain's like, hey, go look in the pump room and see if everything's okay. And I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know what the heck I was looking at. So I walk in there, I'm staring at all this stuff. I'm like, looks good to me, So the fire protection guy showed up, and so I was in the room, and I ran across him. I said, hey, I have some questions. Like, my captain asked me to do this. Like, can you help me out? And he's looking at me kind of like I'm an idiot. He's like, don't you know any of this stuff? And I said, why would I? He said, well, you're the fire department. I said, well, hell, I guess you got a point. And so I just started trying to read about it and research it. I took a class at the National Fire Academy on fire protection systems, which is awesome.
Right.
I don't know if they still do it, but it was really good. And from there, just kind of, I just stayed intrigued. I kept researching the subject, materials, equipment, and everything. I was in.
So when's the next article or book coming out about?
I don't know. There are fire protection systems books out there. There's guys that write about them. McGrail, Gus, and guys that have been around as long as I've been on the planet. But I don't know if I have the time or the energy right now. But I think one day I'll sit down and just try to not dumb it down, but make it relatable. Like, out of all these systems, like if I go to my everyday call, like what do I need to know about the inner workings of an alarm panel? If I go to a sprinkler call in winter and I'm getting these water flow alarms and no water flow in the building, like what are some of the things I need to be looking for? And how do these systems operate? I might be able to put it on that kind of level for people where they can read it and understand it and hopefully be better at their next call. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, maybe I'll do that one day.
I've read your articles and read your book. You're not going to be in trouble doing that. I'll be glad. It might be the only time I voluntarily read anything about suppression systems again. If
there's not going to be many people that want to help. Hey, can you go over to this fire protection systems book? No. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So let's say you come and put on a class here at FDIC. First time you do it for fire suppression systems, how many people do you think you would get?
It's funny you say that because I was thinking about trying to submit a class next year. So I have this idea for a 4-hour workshop. And it would need to be 4 hours because I want to do a tour. Mm-hmm. So my idea is, and I've done it before at conferences where I'll teach a classroom portion on fire protection systems, and then we'll do like a little field trip. So we'll walk over to a fire pump room, we'll go to the command room, and we'll look at some things. So I don't know the logistics of all that here, but it's an idea I have. But yeah, how many people? It's like, all right, engine company operations, leadership, truck stuff. Ooh, fire protection, fire protection systems. I was gonna go to this awesome engine class, but I'm gonna go learn about alarm systems and sprinkler systems. I don't know how to draw it. Yeah, I don't know how to draw the crowd, but I have the idea. I don't know if it'll work, but maybe I'll give it a shot and see what happens.
That would be cool. The walking around and actually, seeing and putting hands on stuff. I think it makes all the difference.
And that's been nice. And I just recently started doing that with the ones I've done. And we'll walk across the street to a building or wherever I'm teaching, like the convention center. Let's go to the pump room. And so they see it in the classroom. We talk about it, but then we're out there. They're touching it. They're putting their hands on it. Yes. They can trace the piping and talk about all the different components. that seems to really help people.
And it's easier to ask questions when something's right in front of you, and you go, "What's this?
Hey, why is this here?
Yeah.
What does this do?" Yeah. So I don't know. It's an idea. We'll see. Maybe run it by the board and
That'd be
see
cool.
if they bite. Yeah.
I don't think you'll have any trouble getting students because you're already established. You know what I'm saying? If you came in and it's like your first class you ever taught, it was fire suppression systems. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But
That's
you're
probably a good
established,
point.
and people are like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Right.
I appreciate you stopping by. I do want to end with
Yeah, of
this.
course. Yep.
Another, first off, I think I learned to say it. It's not Norfolk.
Yeah.
Is it Norfolk?
Yeah. Norfolk or Norfolk. If
Norfolk.
it sounds like you're cussing, you're probably saying it correctly.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say there's something in the water at Norfolk because Josh Chase,
Yeah,
a
Josh.
good friend of yours.
Yep, he's a good friend of mine. We were stationed together for a lot of years. Went to
Fantastic
a bunch
dude.
of fires with Josh. We rode the backstep for a lot of years together.
And he
he's
wrote a
awesome.
book
And he
about
wrote a book.
Backseat, Jump Seat Leadership.
Yep.
Another great book. He just came out with the workbook version for that. I got that. He also does Ripcord.
Yep, Ripcord Rescue Strap.
Ripcord
Yep.
Rescue Strap, another fantastic product.
Yep.
I've got some of those. I've bought a few of those and passed them out to some
Yep,
friends
I did
and
the
some
same
new
thing while I
guys.
was here. Yep.
Oh, it's great. It's
Yep.
great. So there's something in the water up there or down there to the right.
Over there. Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah.
So
It
also,
is. It's a fun place to work. I always like to brag my department. You know, we have our issues just like any other fire department, but the people that are there are good people, and there really are some awesome folks there. Josh is one of them. You know, our captain that raised both Josh and I, another great guy. He's my battalion chief now, so he's my captain for a while now. He's my chief, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we're pretty lucky where we come from. We got some good folks.
So let me ask you this last question. Okay, you know Josh. You've now met me in person. Clearly, I'm yoked. Okay.
Yes.
I take care of my body. I only have like 2 cheeseburgers. I take the lettuce off the Big Mac. If me and him got into a physical confrontation with all this Muay Thai and wrestling stuff, who would come out on top?
It's got you.
It's going to be me.
all day.
It's going to be me. You know, and I feel like I'm bragging.
Josh likes to think that it might be him, but it would. Yeah,
His hubris will be his undoing.
Yes,
If
it will.
if me and him were to grapple, it'd be over.
Yeah, it'd be done. He'd be done.
He wouldn't write a book about the ass kicking he would get. He would.
That's
He
right.
would.
That's right.
I love the guy. Hey, listen, Jared, thank you for your time.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
coming
Thank
back,
you. Yeah,
especially
thanks for
after
telling me
that.
to come by.
It's you've made my day. You've made my day,
I'm
sir.
glad.
Brother,
All right, brother.
stay
Thank
safe.
you, man. I will.
So, welcome back to 3-Point Firefighter. This is the last of my mini-sodes for the FDIC, day 2. So, I saved the best for last. Last time he was on my podcast, I introduced him as Captain Tim Kron. Now I got to introduce him as my boss, Deputy Chief Personnel, Tim Kron. Brother, thank you for being back on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So,
Honored.
I wanted you back on here. You're one of my favorite guys on the job. Big fan.
Thank you.
Motivated by you. I've always said in my first podcast, you get it.
Yep.
You get the job. And there's been times where I've gone in to do my arson thing, and you're still in there.
Yep.
Everybody's out rehabbing.
Yep.
You were one of those first in, last out officers, and that always impressed me. And I'm sure it impressed other people.
Well, I hope so.
Now, you could say because you're my boss, I'm just kissing your ass.
Right.
But I'm not. So
Right.
here's the deal. When I started this podcast, I didn't want to have anybody of higher rank from my department on because I felt like it'd come off like an ass kiss, right? I didn't want to come off like an ass kiss, but I wanted you back. I think you really inspired me when you were a captain, and I think you've moved into your new job fantastically. I mean, a nice, even flow. There's changes. Hey, brother, surprise guest Ian Bennett. What's up, buddy?
I just heard you were down here. I had to come shake your hand and meet you in person.
Oh, man, I saw your class the other day. I almost snuck in there, but I didn't get a chance.
Lots of stuff to do here.
Yes.
Maybe next time.
It's overloaded. Yeah. So let me finish this. I'll be right with you. Hey, thank you, brother. So, surprise guest, Ian Bennett. Oh, that's right. Ian Bennett came over just to say hi to the 3-Point Firefighter. I'm just saying. Back to you, though. So, now you're the chief of personnel, okay?
Yep.
You were in a truck company. The only thing I hated about you being on the truck company is, just like every truck, you had to talk to you very slow and use one-syllable words.
It's true.
It's true.
Yep. Facts. It's all facts. Sorry.
If you're a truckie listening to this, have an engine guy explain that joke.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's all good.
It's
It's
all
all good, guys. It's all right.
So tell me about your transition. What were your expectations from being a captain to moving into not just admin, but the number 2 role?
Well, I mean, it was a shock, without a doubt. It wasn't a job that I went looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I was contacted and said, hey, would you interview for the job? And I tossed it around, and I asked some people that are very close to me. It's like, what do you think? And they're like, yeah, you gotta try.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta, go interview because we know you take it for the right reasons. So I went and interviewed, and surprisingly enough, here I am, almost 6 months later as the deputy chief of personnel. It was an adjustment without a doubt. I had not worked a 40-hour work week since like 1986. So, going from shift work to a 40-hour work week is different, but I guess what surprised me is the amount of time. I know a lot of people harp on, the Chiefs are not in the office or this and that and the other. Well, we're always on call, always. We don't really have a day off, and that's kind of been an adjustment. Not that do we get called in every night or do we have to work every weekend? No, absolutely not. The guys and gals in the firehouse are still the ones that where the rubber meets the road, and so. But I guess it was the responsibility of knowing that phone can ring at any time. And, you got to go in.
Right.
So that's been kind of the biggest adjustment. I'm better now. I was at first kind of like, oh my goodness, this is. I won't say overwhelming. I was like, man, did I really make the right decision? But after hearing some feedback from the department and some personnel saying, hey, we really like the direction the fire department's headed. That's all I could ask for. That's all I could ask for. Do we have bumps on the road still? Absolutely, and we always will.
Wait, are you telling me you can't please it? You don't have that magic power to please
everybody? I
everybody?
cannot please everybody. I cannot. As much as I try, I cannot.
That's interesting.
But I have tried to make every decision up in that office up until now to the betterment of the department. And that's what I'll always strive for. So I want to leave it better than I found it. Obviously, for obvious reasons, there's I want to make sure that department's heads in the right direction when the time comes that I say. That's it.
I just figured they just found your skeleton in now a Chiefs car.
Yeah,
I can't see Tim Kron getting like, you know what, I'm done.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's coming. It won't be. It's coming. It's down the road. But
yeah, your dad did what 40 years in the
45, yeah.
And he said, you know what, it's time to retire and become a fire chief.
Become a fire chief. Yeah. I'm not for sure I'll do that, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I got a feeling he's going to find you in a Chiefs car. Yeah.
Right. But
so, you were. Handed a lot of stuff. So your predecessor, Opie, another fantastic guy.
Yep.
I love him to death. He had a lot of things in motion that you had to catch and keep up. Not only implementing what you wanted, right?
Absolutely.
So there was no stutter step. At least from where I'm sitting, it wasn't a stutter step. You said okay. You got what Opie's programs were and what he wanted to do.
Yep.
Kept running with the ball.
Yep.
Did I just use a sports metaphor?
I think that you did.
Oh
my
I'm
goodness.
editing that.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could edit to a video game metaphor or a drinking metaphor. So
Absolutely. Right.
Oh, I got a football bat at home. Did you know that?
You did. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
and,
that's good.
Baseball
that's
goal.
Good. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's
right.
So I've heard from the guys and girls on our department a lot of good things about what you're doing and the direction we're taking. You know what? I would have lost a bet though. I'll be honest with you. When you took over, the amount of change that I've seen in a short amount of time, I would have bet it never happened. I would have described it as turning a aircraft carrier. You just can't change course that quick. But I feel like it's been more like turning a car. Or, there's just so much that have come out that is good for the department that you're like, hey, here's what we're doing good. Let's go ahead and put a little polish on it, and it's made big differences. I feel.
I hope so. I appreciate that.
There's, I see you a lot. So most people don't want to see their bosses that often, but I do get to see you, and luckily it's not getting my ass ripped, so that's good.
Right. I haven't had to do much of that. Not much at all.
No, I appreciate that.
Which is surprising. Not because of you, but I mean just overall.
Let's be honest. It's because it's me.
Well,
let's be honest.
Could be true. Yeah, could be true. Yeah.
But I think it's great, and I'm kind of, where I wasn't as excited, this is on me, nobody else, I wasn't as excited about seeing where the fire service was going, the fire department was going. Kind of excited now. Now that you've taken the reins, I'm like, there's been a lot of big changes in a short amount of time. So give us a little spoiler alert. What are we looking for our department within the next, say, year? Then 3 years.
Goodness. Well, I mean, we're obviously talking about hiring more people. We're in the process of interviewing now. We're looking at more of a big picture command presence at large fire scenes like we had just the other day.
Yep.
So we want to kind of change that and make an identified command post and, wherever it may be on the fire ground. We're looking at command boards and kind of changing I won't say change the direction, but kind of polish all that up. Because I think, a couple of people that were there were like, yeah, we really need to do a better job at this, don't we? I said, absolutely we do. Not one person can run a fire scene as complex as a garden-style apartment building with 3 floors of fire. So you can't. One person can't do it. I know that if I was a battalion chief, I wouldn't want that responsibility of saying, having all that put on me. So I think you'll see that. I would still love to see us get our EMS service back in the fire service, but that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody because that was, my passion when I came on. But
you rode the ambulance for how many years?
19 years, 11 months, and 1 week. Yeah.
So here's the thing: if I close my hand in a car door, I don't keep doing that for so many years.
Right.
All right. So why did you torture yourself to it?
I loved it. And most of the listeners know from the previous cast. We're a dual role department, so we were firefighters. And I've said this before. I went on our ambulance for one sole reason, and that was we went to every fire, and that's what I wanted to do. But I fell in love with EMS, and I fell in love with helping people. And every single day on that fire, on that ambulance, you helped somebody, whether it was helping a little old lady up off the floor or just standing there holding somebody's hand for a while. You made a difference in somebody's life every single day.
Agreed.
And so I enjoyed that part. And I try to instill that now in our firefighters is, although we don't have EMS, we're still making EMS runs. And even these little old people that, that come up and say, we need help off the floor. Man, be nice to those people. Because that might be the only kindness they get ever is you helping them up. So be nice to those people. That's what I try.
I think the first time I got the Tim Kron crash course, I've been on this department for 18 years, going on 19, and it was probably my first year, on the ambulance. And I remember making a run about 2 or 3 in the morning. Okay, I'd made a run with you at the beginning of the shift, and I made a run with you about 2 or 3 in the morning. You and Toddy.
Right.
And I noticed you were super nice that morning, and then we made a run in the middle of the night or whatever, and you were just as nice. Firefighters, we know, we get grumpy in the middle of the night. I know when I was on the ambulance, I would be grumpy. But you were just as nice, and I think you delivered that customer service, the same, equally. Right. And so I remember the first time thinking, I want to know more about this guy. I think you were a chief at the time, a battalion chief at the time, in charge of EMS.
Yep.
And then, so you went from the ambulance to a truck because you're like, I need more punishment.
Right. Well, ambulance to the Quint first.
Ambulance to the Quint.
Yeah.
It's still
and
a
then
truck.
the threes, and then the truck one. Yeah.
So and then you're like, you know what? You can coast the rest of your career. You earned it. And then you're like, no, put me in the chief position.
Right. Yeah, well, I did. That was kind of a surprise. But, here I am. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed making a difference. I think we've got a good group of people up there. The chief's been very supportive of every idea I've had, and every idea.
That's good.
Chief Baylor has been very supportive. So I really do think in a short amount of time we've made a difference, and I think given more time we'll make even more of a difference.
Absolutely.
That's my hope anyway.
I think we'll be fine. Yeah. I see that light at the end of the tunnel. That hope.
I hope so. And even the 9 new firefighters we hired. I had a couple of captains come up to me, a couple of captains that I really thought would, question or second guess every move that I make. And I had one of them come up and said, hey, Chief, just so you know, all 9 absolutely solid people. Thank you so much for hiring those 9 people. And that's all I can hope for.
Yeah.
Is that, the people the things that I do benefit the people that are actually doing it. Because I'm not in there anymore. I'm outside, and that's a very hard place to be. But, my job now is to ensure that our firefighters can do their job effectively and efficiently in a safe manner, and that everybody goes home at the end of the day. That's what I want.
Not a lot of coasting in you, is there?
No, there's no. Well, no, there's not, because I can't. Even a couple of days ago, I've sat there and had nothing to do. I'm like, man, what should we do? I can't just sit here and do nothing.
Right.
So
go fill up the barn.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm gonna go out and mess with the new kids. So I appreciate all the support that I've been given from you and from all the guys on the department, from the chief, from Deputy Chief Baylor. I mean, it's been an awesome experience.
Brother, I appreciate you being back on my podcast.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm my boss.
Absolutely.
Take care, bro.
All right, buddy. Good.
Welcome back to 3-Point Firefighter, the end of the day Minnesotas. I got to do a wrap up here with my friend Kurt Russell from Backdraft. You look
Poor
like
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, what's the...
Yeah, he wishes you looked handsome. Aaron Adams for Fire Facilities. Aaron, brother, thanks for being on and help me wrap this up.
Oh, man, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here. I love that we can be honored with you coming in here and bringing in some great people, to talk about training in the fire service, how important it is, why everybody needs it. It's not a luxury, it's a need in the fire service.
That's exactly right.
You are the epitome of that message, and so having you here, bringing that talent into this booth and having those conversations, I couldn't be more grateful. So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you getting me up here doing this. I loved it. I was very fortunate to get some great guys and girls on here that know what they're talking about. They obviously make some bad choices talking to me, but they're still good people. So let me ask you this. So we were just talking. You were here now. You were here in August. And then how many years prior to that?
As a career firefighter, it was the last time I was here like 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is all exactly the same as you remember?
It's identical.
It's identical.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's identical.
Just like me.
Yeah.
Like 20 years
Yeah. Said Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Said Kurt.
Right.
So, yeah, this is overwhelming. The last time I've been here, it's been a while, and I'm just overwhelmed, dude. There's so much shit here. I mean, I've gotten lost every single time. I honestly think I'm pretty good navigating and getting around places. I've gotten lost every single. I'm afraid to go to the bathroom, so I don't know if I'm going to get back here.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like I think every firefighter is born with like ADD, chasing a squirrel, ride bikes. There's too much cool stuff.
Yeah.
You get distracted so easily. There's too many good people. You get caught up in conversations, and then all of a sudden, like, where am I?
Yep. That's exactly it. But, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and I know I talked to Kristen about this earlier too, but so for me as a firefighter, if I'm trying to buy something, especially something big like fire facilities, that's a big investment. Trucks, no matter what it is, I want to talk to a firefighter that knows what they're doing, right? I don't want to talk to a scripted salesman, blah, blah, blah. And here, you're a firefighter. You know what it's like to be in a training building. You know what it's like, what we want, what we need. And I think that's what sets there's a lot of stuff that sets fire facilities apart from the others. But I truly believe that. I truly believe that you being a firefighter and a lot of the people on your staff, firefighters, makes a difference to us when we're going to invest a lot of money for a training facility, no matter what department you are, big or small, what model you get. For you, it's a large sum of money. So it's got to last.
Yeah.
It's got to last. You got to have good customer service. And in this booth, I've noticed as people have been walking around talking to you, talking to other people, that's what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Right. And good answer. So I'm coming to you now. You don't know me. I'm like, look, I'm a small department. I want to get this one right here. And you give me a price. That's all you're going to do. You're not going to help me soil sample. You're not going to help me set up anything. You're just going to sell me this. Is that right?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah,
interesting.
That's what you're talking about. The people that face the company out in the field all have fire experience, which is wonderful. It definitely makes a difference. But not only that, we have an engineering team in-house that helps design and engineer these buildings from the ground up. This is all that we do.
Right.
We specifically design buildings to be trained in for the hardcore training that firefighters are required to do. All the little things like how to make a window bailout so it doesn't tear up your gear. The burn room liner, that's a 15-year warranty that's non-prorated. It's unheard of in the industry. It's
not prorated?
Not prorated, 15 years. It's insane. I think the next closest is a year, right? So these are investments. These are generational investment buildings that people put the money towards, and they should expect it to last 30, 40 years.
Right.
And we've been in business 30 years. The buildings that were initially erected to have the training be a training facility are still in service today. I just followed up with the first training tower that was ever established with the chief up in Traverse City, Michigan. They're still using the building, and it's same thing in Alabama. Within the week, they had the second one go up down there, still using the building. And it was hit by a hurricane. So it's like, these things are built to last. There's an investment on the front side. As you were saying, we help with everything. Foundation design. People don't understand how important it is to do a soil sample to get an understanding of what kind of building you can actually put on the land, because it's hard to get land.
Yes.
And so just because you get land donated doesn't mean it's going to be suitable for a training facility. There's a lot that goes into it, and we have the in-house engineers that can help with understanding that. And so it really takes a lot away from the worry and then the mistake when it's made because you didn't do a soil sample of what kind of building that you had on your wish list, and then all of a sudden, oh, we can't do it.
Right.
Or if the building starts to sink, we've never had that happen. Because we do all of the front
Knock
side.
on wood.
Knock on wood, but we do all the front side work. Collecting the information, asking the right questions, starting with a cookie cutter version of a training facility, and then dialing into exactly what the department needs are. Moving a stairwell, standpipes, roof hatches, chop out holes, you name it.
Right.
And you can add on to these things. You can add on to them going up over years if we design the foundation right for you. Expand them laterally. It's an investment that'll be generations, and the sky's the limit.
Quite literally. Did you talk to Caleb Mousy from Arizona a few minutes ago? He might have talked to somebody else.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Okay, so Caleb Mousy, a friend of mine, met him down in Arizona, and they have a fire facilities burn building. So me and my partner were going there to check it out, and this is on everything you just said. So I go in there, and what you can't see on this podcast is that they've got like a little building in the middle of this booth, right? And you can go in it and you can look at everything. So it looked just like that. It looked brand new, right? And it was 20 years old.
Yeah.
We went inside. The only change he said he did is he went from tiles to your all's liners, which are next level, obviously.
Yep.
I could not believe it was 20 years old. Yep. Now, look at this. They made an investment 20 years ago. It didn't even look bad. I'm not exaggerating. Feel free to get a hold of the guy. But he said, now we're going to add on to it. Because 20 years ago, they did it right where you can add on to it. And that's what he was talking to somebody about getting that done. So these are, I love that term, generational investments.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic. But they made the investment, and it's not like 20 years later you got to get a new one or do major upgrades. They're literally just adding on.
Yeah.
To the guy. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool aspect of these buildings.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. Yeah, as the fire service changes, the training needs change. As departments grow, there's different needs that come into play.
Right.
As communities grow, you may have a community that is just low rise, and all of a sudden, boom! Like look at Houston. There's a bunch of outlying departments in Houston that were rural,
right?
And they've gone from rural to a rural 10-man department to a 100-man department, and
sounds like you're talking about Pearland, Texas.
There's a good example.
Jacob Johnson.
There's a great example, right? And now their needs change, right? What they need to do on a regular, everyday training basis changes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very, very fortunate situation that we're in as a company that we can help, accommodate those needs as life grows.
You said in-house engineering, and I knew that before. But let me ask you a question. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So with having an in-house engineering team and you being a firefighter, when they're designing something, can you go to them and say, well, I'm telling you, this isn't going to work. I know I've been in these builds. That's not going to work. Or do they come to you, maybe do the same thing and say, hey, listen, let me ask you something because you're a firefighter. Would this work with our design?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. There is absolutely that consultative internal conversation that happens all the time. And we've got in-house engineers that that are part of the team that are also firefighters.
Even
in
better.
Their local community, right?
Even
So they
better.
also know, right? So it's a great thing that we have the internal communication from that side too. But absolutely, that conversation happens. And we also have a construction liaison as part of the team as well. So not only do we have that part of it, we also have Eric Zowski, who works hand in hand with contractors and steel erectors that understands the construction side and the building side of what works and what doesn't work. That also is that additional combination with an engineer, field construction, firefighter mentality. So all of it comes together. There's all the aspects of how these actually work in the environment that they're going to be in and how they're going to be used are addressed with the team that we have in place. And it's been that way since the beginning for 30 years. So it's that's why I know I'm biased, but we're the best in the business. American made, American steel.
I love that, American made, American steel, because that's a big difference.
For sure.
And me personally, I mean, obviously I want to support everything, keep the economy going here. So, perfect. And I had another question for you. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, so I'll probably just edit this part out. Maybe I won't. Maybe people need to know how terrible I am at this, actually. I'll just live up. Yeah. There's a lot of choppy parts because I edit my dumbass stuff out. But anyway, I want to thank you for letting me come up here and do my podcast here. It's been a blast. I've enjoyed this so much. I'm peopled out. I'm not going to lie. I am peopled out. I'm ready to go home, curl up in the fetal position. But I appreciate it, brother. I hope I get to come back next year. and do this again and meet some great people. So let me ask you this before we go. Somebody's watching a podcast. They want to get a hold of fire facilities. How do they do that so they can start the process of getting a quality burn center?
Easiest thing to do in the technology world that we're in, firefacilities.com. Go on there, fill out your information, send in an information request. We'll get them hooked up with the regional person that is, in their area, and start the process. If you start with your wish list, we can alter it, change it, deal with your budget restraints, help you with funding, whether it's fundraising in your community, whether it's grant stuff. We can get you started down the path to get you a training facility that's going to be a generational building, and it'll last. It'll be what you need, and if you outgrow it, we can help you with that too. So that's the best thing. Firefacilities.com, and we'll go from there.
Brother Adams, thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
See you. Perfect.